Archie, you set up Scottish Voice just before the Holyrood election in May 2007. What was the thinking behind it?
The thinking behind it was education. I read in the newspaper some months before I started Scottish Voice that the 30% of the 16-year-olds who left school could not read or write to a standard that was acceptable to employers, indeed could not communicate properly. And I found that deeply shocking, and I found the fact that the politicians seemed not to be addressing it in the way that was obvious was something that we should put right. And that was why I started Scottish Voice.
Where does the party stand politically? Left, centre or right?
We don't stand anywhere ideologically in terms of left, centre or right. We stand for what is best for Scotland and for what we believe are the best solutions to any of the problems facing the devolved powers that Holyrood has.
Why do you think there is a need for a party like Scottish Voice, and what makes it different from other parties? In other words, what does it stand for?
The need for Scottish Voice is because all other political parties come with an agenda, a specific agenda, which addresses the political stance they have, left-wing, right-wing, centre. Scottish Voice will take the best of any viewpoint, whether it's left or right, and try and use that to improve the situation, to make things work better in Scotland. And so we don't have the baggage that other parties have.
All the small parties fared badly in the May elections for the Scottish Parliament, so why have you decided to press on? Do you think Scottish Voice can really make a difference, and how?
Well, the May election really was the result of people, I think, very much wanting to get rid of Labour, who were bankrupt in more ways than one and have been in power in Scotland for many years, and Labour was not making devolution work. Why should Scottish Voice continue? Because I believe that there is a need for an audit committee, if you like, for a think tank with teeth, which I describe what we will have if we have representatives in Holyrood, who aren't left or right, but who are composed of people of sufficient moment that politicians have to pay attention to what they think and what they're saying. So I think that's what the need for Scottish Voice is.
Separation from the UK was a major issue in the May elections and continues to dominate Scottish politics. Where does Scottish Voice stand on this?
I think the answer to the first part of your question is it continues to dominate the thinking of Scottish politicians. The most recent opinion polls show 22 or 23% of the population thinking that independence is a good thing. That's not a lot of people. In fact, it may be one of the lowest polls for some time. So Scottish Voice stands where it has always stood, which is what is good for the Scottish people. And I don't think the case has been made for independence, but were it made, then Scottish Voice would be in favour. At the moment, the union has worked and worked well.
Do you believe that devolution is working?
Devolution has not worked up to the election, because I think you merely look at the health service and at education, which I say is what brought me in, and the criminal justice, the three areas over which politicians in Holyrood have direct control. And I don't think anyone could say that they are all working. Devolution can work and should be made to work, but until recently it has not. The jury is still out on what happens in the next few months or years.
Given that it could be some time before the next Holyrood election, what will Scottish Voice be doing until then?
It'll be taking forward its thinking in terms of what are the solutions to the problems facing Scotland, which, as I said, I think earlier, drawing together academics, business people, community leaders, who have no fixed ideology, who are willing to take a new approach to addressing the problems that exist. And I hope from that, creating ideas which the politicians can be persuaded to use.
If you could choose only one area that would see Scotland change for the better, what would it be and why?
Without question, education. Education was what first drove me to taking an interest in, rather more direct interest in politics. And education in education lies a solution to all of the problems that every country has, not just Scotland. If you educate the people, you help eradicate poverty, you provide the experts to run all the things that need to be run, and you create a world where people can achieve things, and you achieve a fluidity in society, which you certainly don't if you send out into the streets vast numbers of people who cannot read or write properly. So I think education remains the fundamental driver for society, and indeed the driver that I think will also help problems worldwide for drug abuse and other things, which are getting worse, not better, all over the world.